Ah, the glory of slasher films. Easy to make, easy to love. In the 80s, these kinds of movies were at their prime and showed the audience that not every horror movie has to be bone-chillingly terrifying to be good. Two franchises that best showed off how comedy can work with horror are Evil Dead and Friday the 13th. Two stories where a once innocent youth is met with a cruel fate which leads them into a life of hacking and slashing away. Difference being, one of them is seen as a hero and the other is seen as a villain. Today on Maximum Combat, we're putting the two biggest faces of horrors against one another to see who will come out on top in the end as the champion horror icon. I am Max, and I've done my research on these two, and now I'm going to transfer my knowledge to you, and then I'll tell you who I think would win and why. Of course, there's also a fight simulation. Both Ash and Jason have fought before, but never in a research bout such as this. Plus, Freddy Krueger was thrown into the mix, which changed things up a lot. Anyways, without anything stopping us, let's dig into our first combatant, Ash Williams. The life of Ashley J. Williams wasn't always the horror show you see today. He had a normal life once, working as a retail clerk with his girlfriend Linda. One day, however, Ash brought Linda and his friends to an old cabin in the woods, and things went bad.
Spades, jack of diamonds, jack of clubs.
Upon finding the Necronomicon Ex Mortis and having the passages played out on a tape recorder, evil beings known as Deadites rose from the dead. Soon, Ash found himself fighting for his life against these creatures. They took his friends, and Ash was forced to kill them. The Deadites got into his hand and it went bad, so he had to lop it off at the wrist, which is why he now has a chainsaw hand. Ever since that day at the cabin, Ash has been on many horrifying adventures, being sent through time and space, battling against the Deadites and saving the planet from their global takeover. Luckily for Ash, he's very physically fit and capable of duking it out with the Deadites, as we'll now discuss. Ash is strong enough to fight on par with the Deadites, who are always smashing through walls easily. Ash himself has also smashed down doors and walls with relative ease. Ash is also capable of easily dismembering Deadites and demons, and has even fought against and harmed demons of massive size. One time, Ash was able to resist a rift in time and space that was strong enough to uproot trees, suck up cars, and even strong enough to suck up a Deadite as large as a cabin. Ash can also straight up bend metal, and he was capable of harming Spider-Man himself and tackling him to the floor. Ash is also quick on his feet. He can outrun Deadites fast enough to keep up with cars, outrun the Marvel werewolves, and he's fast enough to create after images. Plus, Ash can dodge plenty. He's dodged many axe swings, blades, shotgun blasts, lightning bolts, and even lasers before. Not to mention there were multiple lasers being shot at him from different angles that he had to dodge. Ash has also become known for his cartoony durability, able to tank a lot of punishment and get back up like it never happened. He often endures intense bodily harm, such as being scratched down to the muscle, getting his hand stabbed and sawed off, and being burnt so badly on his face that it got stuck on metal. Ash had survived being thrown around a lot too, such as the time he was sent flying past dozens of trees before finally slamming against a large one. Ash had survived great falls from really high up, plane crashes, and he survived many large structures collapsing on him, such as a large tower, a cabin, and he even once survived an entire psychiatric hospital collapsing onto him. Also, while in the Marvel Zombies universe, he survived a punch from the Daredevil, being swatted away by the Sentry, and being strangled by Dr. Doom. Aside from being physically impressive, Ash is a rather skilled individual. Ash has shown time and time again that he's a great fighter. He knows martial arts well enough to teach it to others, he's able to fight barehanded against skeletons with weapons, he's beaten demons in hand-to-hand combat, and he's even really skilled with swords and spears. Ash is also a master marksman, highly accurate with many weapons. He's often capable of hitting small targets dead on, shooting creatures he's not even looking at, and he once managed to shoot a creature that was teleporting all around the place because he was able to anticipate where it would end up. Ash has also shown a strange ability to leap into the air and begin floating for a little bit. This is only ever done to catch his chainsaw though. Anyways, Ash also has what's called his Rage Mode. When activated, Ash taps into his inner Deadite, and becomes 2 times as strong and durable as he already was. This form even emits electricity that can harm anyone who touches it. Now, while you wouldn't suspect it, Ash is actually rather intelligent. He's oftentimes tricked Deadites, and he knows never to trust them, and that anything that's too good to be true probably is. Ash has shown that he's rather adept with technology as well, able to build gadgets like his hand and the Death Coaster. Ash was smart enough to recreate gunpowder in the medieval ages, and he's great at catching his foes off guard. Also, while Ash is often seen as a bad slow thinker, he actually has come up with great plans before, like his great pet tracker plan in Ash vs. Evil Dead. Ash's personality has changed a lot over the course of the series. At the start, he was somewhat cowardly, but by Army of Darkness, he became the brave, heroic, catchphrase-spewing badass that we all know today. Ash's lifestyle of fighting Deadites has left him being pretty cynical, and maybe a little bit insane. But under his hard exterior is someone willing to sacrifice his life for others. He's still a good guy at heart.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Oh, speaking of guns, it's time to get into Ash's massive weaponry. For one, Ash has an axe for dismemberment, and he has the Kandarian dagger. This weapon is a very special one, capable of one-shotting Deadites and demons, even highly powerful godlike ones much larger than buildings. This dagger will absorb the soul of whatever Deadite or demon is killed by it, and any non-demon killed by it will be trapped in the Deadlands. Ash also has the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, an evil book bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. This book has a lot of functions, so buckle up. It can awaken Deadites, open rifts in space and time, and send Deadites to specific destinations. If the book is shoved towards his foe, it'll emit a force strong enough to send the foe flying back. The book can also allow Ash to take possession of whoever he wants, and there's a spell that can increase Ash's strength and make him a large hulking monster. Ash has a shovel that can reflect fireballs and can be used for decapitation, and he has his famous boomstick, which fires highly powerful rounds capable of one-shotting most Deadites at close range, and was even capable of one-shotting a zombified Winter Soldier. Ash also has plenty of weapons that he can put where his hand once was. There's his chainsaw hand, which can slice through trees, there's his buzzsaw hand, which is almost the same, and there's his Gatling gun arm, which is an actual functioning Gatling arm where his arm once was. Next, he has his grappling hook arm and his flamethrower arm. In terms of chainsaws, Ash has more than just the one. He has a titanium chainsaw, the Sapmaster 3000, and Chain Lightning. Each of these chainsaws is much more powerful than his original, and they're each equally loved by Ash. But when there isn't a chainsaw on his hand, there's his Gauntlet hand. This hand gives Ash an added strength boost, and can even be used to stop chainsaws. Plus, it can be fired off his hand to be a projectile fist. Then there's his cyborg hand, which has a special function in each finger. There's a flamethrower in his pointer finger, an explosive shell in his middle finger, a force that launches foes away in his pinky finger, and a nose hair trimmer in his thumb. Plus, each finger can shoot out lasers to easily cut through Deadites. And lastly, in terms of metal hands, he has the Doom Fist he stole from Dr. Doom, which can fire out powerful laser blasts. Ash also has spears for stabbing, swords for slashing, rifles for shooting an impossible amount of bullets, and an extinguisher that sucks out all the blood from his victim, and then he uses the blood as ammo. Ash has a katana, a bomb lance for firing large explosives, a submachine gun, liquid nitrogen to freeze his foe into the point of being able to shatter them to pieces, pistols, and a net launcher to trap his foe in a net. Yes, with these many weapons, Ash seems like an unstoppable one-man army. However, he's far from perfect. Mentally speaking, Ash isn't all there, and has been victim to some hallucinations. The Necronomicon can backfire on Ash if used wrong, and the book itself isn't friendly to Ash. Still, Ash Williams is much more than just some schmo off the streets. He's saved the entire planet on multiple occasions, and has proven the mettle of man. There's a reason why he was the chosen one.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Jason Voorhees, the most iconic and brutal slasher in horror history. He's been through a whole lot, but he didn't start out that way. Long before he was the monster he is today, he was simply Jason, a bald child with facial deformities. Jason's life was rough, growing up with an abusive father and kids who had often bullied him for being deformed. One fateful day, however, Jason was sent to Camp Crystal Lake for the summer. There, some bullies threw poor Jason into a lake where he drowned and died.
Jail.
Wait, that's not how it ends. Let me finish. Jason's mother, Pamela Voorhees, witnessed the death of her son, and was beyond pissed that none of the camp counselors saved her boy. So Pamela went on a bit of a murder spree, until sometime later when she was decapitated by Alice Hardy. Upon the death of his mother, Jason somehow rose from the dead. Or maybe he just was never dead at all. It's never quite explained how Jason came back from drowning, but he was out for revenge, not just for the death of his mother, but for all the horrible teenagers who did this to him. And so, Jason proceeded to kill off any group of teenagers who dared to enter Camp Crystal Lake in brutal and creative ways. Yeesh, that's messed up. Poor teenagers. Who'd want to watch these movies?
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
You got that right, old man. Anyways, considering Jason spends most of his time killing teenagers, he's worked up some great strength. Let's dive into that. Jason has proven time and time again that he can fuck up the human body real good. He can cut teenagers in half with one slice. He can crush a man's head with his bare hands, and easily slice limbs off with a single slash. Jason has smashed down doors with his body, and he once uppercutted a man so hard, his head came flying off his body. Jason has kept up with the Mortal Kombat cast, and he once flipped a car over. Jason has also shown some moments of speed, although usually he just likes to speed walk all around the place. However, Jason has good reactions. He was fast enough to dodge rapid gunfire from a helicopter before. But still, Jason mostly relies on teleporting all around the place to get where he needs to go. However, what Jason lacks in speed, he makes up for in durability. Jason endures a lot of punishment, and usually remains unharmed. He's been brutally stabbed and sliced up before, and he's been kicked in the nards, and yet he keeps getting back up. Jason has endured dozens upon dozens of knives being thrown at him, before ultimately dying. Jason barely flinched as a shovel was broken over his back, and Jason kept getting up after being shot by a shotgun over and over again. Jason has endured electrocution and fire, and has survived a rooftop collapsing on him as well as an entire house collapsing on him. Jason is also rather skilled when it comes to being a horror icon. He has what we call a slasher portation, in which he can pretty much teleport wherever he wants to, so he can keep up with his victims. This is usually done to appear right in front of them. In the video game, this ability is called Morph. Jason is also a skilled marksman, able to accurately fire his spear gun and throw his machete. Jason is also a skilled fighter, able to keep up with the Mortal Kombat cast and perform fatalities and such based on the kills from his series. Jason also has the power of resurrection. If Jason is killed, it'll simply take some form of electricity striking his body to bring him back to life. But if that's not working out, there's his true form! Weird worm thingy. What? Yes, that's our man. There he is. Jason Voorhees is a worm. Okay, so if he enters your mouth, he'll possess you, or he could possess you if you eat his heart, which I don't think anybody would do unless the nearest restaurant was Arby's. Jason can also regenerate his body, able to bring back chunks of his body that were blown off. However, if his body parts are blown off each other, like in Jason Goes to Hell, he won't be able to regenerate. Jason is actually smarter than you'd believe at first. He's been known to set up traps for his victims, and he's hidden under blankets before to trick teenagers. He's also been clever enough to disconnect phone lines so nobody could call for help, and Jason even learned how to swim pretty well. However, Jason isn't completely intelligent. He's often tricked and manipulated by Freddy Krueger, and he was once lured into a trap by the FBI. Jason himself is quite the tricky man to read. He never speaks, and is more often than not seen as an unrelenting, unforgiving force of nature, who's also really pissed off a lot. However, despite being so crude, he's got an undying love for his mother, and has great hatred towards any teens doing drugs or fornicating on his camp. To combat those sex-crazed teens, Jason has a list of weapons he loves to use against them. For one, there's his infamous machete, a large blade used for slicing and stabbing foes. Another helpful weapon is the very mask he wears. Anyone who isn't Jason who dons the mask will get possessed by Jason and become his new host. Jason has a screwdriver for stabbing, some barbed wire for strangulation, a hammer for beating or stabbing, a spear for more stabbing, a knife for stabbing, a pitchfork for 4 times the stabbage, a spear gun to fire out spears that will stab his victim, and an axe for more stabbing. Yes, Jason likes stabbing. He also has a saw for cutting throats and a buzzsaw for ripping through bodies with ease. With all of these, Jason may seem indestructible, but that's far from the truth. Jason is known for having an inconsistent fear of water. In Freddy vs. Jason, it's used to greatly scare Jason, but multiple times in movies, Jason is seen swimming in the water just fine. But what Jason can't do just fine is survive being blown to pieces or being frozen solid. Those are pretty good ways to end him. But even in spite of that, Jason Voorhees is a highly feared individual. He's been through hell and back, and he's even been to space, spreading his terror and living on.
Rise up, Jason! Your work isn't finished! Hear my voice and live again!
Alright, now that both horror icons have been analyzed, it's time to test the mettle of man. Will Ash Williams send Jason back to hell, or will Jason make this Ash's final Friday? Let's find out.
Do this, do that. I'd like to see some of that shit deal with Dead-Eye duty for once. That teeny didn't even tell me what the bastard looked like. There's one pissed off Canadian. What's the matter, run out of maple syrup? Let's go! And the face. How about some buckshot, punk fuck? Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He has some balls coming to fight me. Say goodbye to him! Ow! Ow! What are those things made of? Okay, time to get medieval on your ass. Ah, yeah, you feel that? You feel that? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. Why all the walls? Why so many walls? The hell do you think I am, a whale? Want to use this damn thing. I guess I got no choice now. Klaatu, Barada. Wait a minute.
Oof, Jason probably won't be coming back from that one. Unfortunately for everyone's favorite hockey slasher, he didn't have what it took to take down Ash. Let me explain. Firstly, in strength terms, while both can easily rip apart the human body, only Ash can climb out of small black holes and harm giant deadites. Ash was certainly faster in both running speed and reaction speeds, since he can run as fast as a car and he can dodge lasers. In terms of durability, while Jason often seems like he's indestructible, Ash's cartoony durability has given him an edge. Besides, having a house collapse on you is one thing, it's quite another to have an entire hospital collapse on you. Ash was more skilled and Jason had the better abilities, but Ash actually had a counter for all of those abilities. Jason's slash teleportation may seem neat, but Ash has already fought and defeated a demon known as Elagos, who was rapidly teleporting around. In that fight, Ash was able to use his great marksmanship to blast the demon immediately as it teleported. Jason's regeneration seems unbeatable, but Ash has many explosive weapons capable of blowing Jason's body parts off each other. And he has liquid nitrogen, which is what was once used to defeat Jason. Jason's whole possession worm thing seems tricky, but Ash himself can also possess Jason thanks to his Necronomicon. What doesn't help Jason is that Ash is far smarter than him. Even if Jason is smarter than we realize, Ash has shown greater displays of trickery and wise attitude. The final nail in Jason's coffin was Ash's superior arsenal of weaponry. For one, the Kandarian dagger would work on Jason. You may all think it only works on deadites, but as it turns out, Jason is a deadite! In the comic Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, it's revealed that Pamela brought Jason back to life after he drowned as a deadite. Interesting fact, eh? Not to mention really bad for Jason, since he's fighting a guy who's made killing deadites his day job. If you want to include scaling for both characters, that's fine, but Jason scaling to Liu Kang isn't nearly as good as Ash scaling to Spider-Man. But that's only if you really want to add that kind of scaling anyways. Either way, the winner of this fight is Ash Williams.
Groovy.
Thanks for watching this episode of Maximum Combat. I hope you enjoyed the battle, and I hope you enjoy whatever I do next. I'd like to give out a huge thanks to the voice actor for Ash Williams in this episode, Eamon Strawcab. He was a great help, and I highly recommend finding him on Casting Call. Anyways, it's time to show off what's next on Maximum Combat.